Dearly beloved, we have gathered here today to get through this thing called Mix CD. My name is Mike, part of the SPDM crew, and I love making Mix CDs. Each week, we give our guests a theme and an 80-minute time limit for which songs they're going to pick for their Mix CD. This week, we are talking about live tracks and live albums. And I have here from Red Eye Films, Corey Skoronsky. Ha! I got it on the first try. Corey, how's it going, man?
It is awesome to be here with you, man. Thanks so much for letting me come be a part of this. Really appreciate
Yeah,
it, man.
I'm really excited about this. You pitched a couple of really cool topics and couple of things that you were interested in, and we settled on live tracks for certain songs. And I'm curious right off the bat, what gravitated you to this particular topic for this list?
I think so. Kind of as we were talking beforehand, I played in a band for many years. So kind of the live aspect really is something that piqued my interest.
Mhm.
And I will say, and it's probably a great segue into some other kind of topics that you have, but the idea of like live and it all stemming from like my high school era and the creation of that is YouTube and how now there's these videos and you're able to not just listen but see like these bands or artists perform these songs. That's really what kind of got me into to music essentially. So the idea to be able to talk about a lot of like the what I've encountered on the music space when it comes to the live aspect is something that really I was interested in and immediately when I saw that I my brain was just going with, oh, I can put this in this. I want to talk about this person or this band. So that's where really it came from when I saw that the idea of live.
I never asked you what like tell me about the band that you played in and also what you play. Like are you
Yeah.
you more of a singer? You
Heck
rocking the
no.
guitars or
Yeah.
like what do you play?
So so great. So I'll break it down. So I was in this band for like what was it, 12 years. And so it's funny because it's like a hardcore punk metal band, right? And so and that's pretty prominent in my list today, but yeah, I started on bass with the band actually, and then I like to say I got promoted to guitar. And so I played guitar with the band, and yeah, it's a lot of jumping around, a lot of being crazy and kooky on stage, and we got to play out of state, and we got to do a couple like runs of shows. We got to go all the way out to like Mississippi and all the way up to Seattle and things like that. So that was it. So it was a good time, and you kind of you meet a lot of people. You learn a lot of different like about a lot of bands and different genres and like the subgenres. So it was a lot of fun to do that. But I had to grow up. Had to hang up the guitar.
Eh,
Unfortunately, it's all
I
good.
mean,
It's
yeah,
all
it's
good.
it just, that era of your life is maybe done, but you still
Yeah.
have the memories. And do you still get to play guitar from time to time?
Yeah, dude. I still and probably even it's more fun now than even like live because like we were talking, I have a 1-year-old daughter now. So it's like I'll pull out the acoustic guitar and me and her will just jam. And
Hmm.
that's probably the most fun. Like just
Hmm.
learning all these like little like kid songs and stuff like that. That's been a blast and she'll dance. So
Awesome.
it worked
Awesome.
out in the end.
Yeah, it worked out in the end, and I'm very curious to hear what you have for your list. But before we get to that part,
Yes.
I do want to ask, did you set any rules or parameters for yourself when it came to coming up with your track list?
I did. I think it kind of just started to meld into things that kind of, I would say, how can I word this? It kind of created me in a sense.
Mm, hmm.
So it was just be it songs or bands or artists that had a huge impact on me. And I think that was probably the main kind of piece. It wasn't, and on top of that, it wasn't maybe like, oh, I picked this song because the way it was played live is so, it's, really technical or something, something of that kind there. I really looked at it from what kind of the whole overall encompassing package, just be it a band playing and being on the heavier side of music, just the audience engagement, the audience interaction. It played a big role in a lot of my picks. The way that the bands interact with the audience is huge. The songs themselves, I think, also just played a role. But kind of back to what I was saying, just those real big ones that impacted me from an early age is what really I gravitated toward. So if there was ever a rule, I think that would
Hmm.
be kind of what I put on to myself for this.
Yeah, I took a similar approach-ish. So
Hmm.
a lot of the artists on here are ones that either the song has some great significance to me, or the artist itself is just ones that I can just remember like a particular era in my life where I remember either listening to this song or listening to this artist a lot.
Hmm.
And also, a handful of these are artists that I've seen live. I wasn't there for like when the recording was being done,
Right.
but I've still seen some of these people and just remembering just how much fun it is to watch live performances of things. And it could be a blast. It could be something where it's like, you know, some of these artists are not as good live as I was hoping that they'd be, but at least I'm having fun. I'm having a good
Right.
time with friends. And at the end of the day, I guess that's what matters. But then there's some artists that was like, I I really this was like core memory inducing,
Yeah.
life-changing type of night. So those were a couple things that I kind of ultimately was looking at. My first draft of this list was like 6 hours long,
Oh
and
my
I think
gosh.
I think a part of that is because a lot of the tracks I have on this list, the songs are a little bit longer than
Oh,
normal.
for sure. Yeah.
And, between riffing with the audience, between intros, between, just mashups or different things like that, there's there's more there, and that means that just kind of ballooned the time,
Yeah.
which I'm not gonna lie, this happens to me every single time. And as frustrating as it can be, it's like, oh, well, now I have to create rules and parameters for what I'm actually looking for.
Right.
And the only I only had really two rules for this is that the first one is that you and I talked a little bit about how you have also like a YouTube list,
Yeah.
and I I was thinking about doing something similar because there's a lot of amazing stuff that's on YouTube.
Hmm.
But I think I ultimately was like, it's got to be on Spotify, and it just kind of went with that. And then the only other parameter I had is just one artist per or one song per artist, and
I couldn't do that, my friend.
that's okay. That's okay. That's my rule. I don't subscribe or don't want to project my rules
No, I know. It's
onto you
silly.
or anything like that. And there have been plenty of times where I'm like, like fine, I'll do this. There in this case, there was one that I had with two artists, two songs from the same artist, and then I realized it was just the same song and I just added it in twice.
Ah.
So whatever. That's fine. So, how many songs did you end up with on your list?
So kind of pulling from just like you were saying, like, looking at it specifically for kind of the Spotify, I think we can kind of play around with it, but I landed on 20 songs, roughly an hour and 20. So
Yeah.
the 80-minute mark. So
Yeah. So I had 19. So what we can do is that let's go ahead and just do groups of three. and I'll let you go first. So give me your first three songs on your list, and why'd you pick them, and what was the significance behind it?
So my first pick, I think it kind of stems similar from how you picked kind of from your list, maybe a band that you saw live and kind of it stuck with you, it strung a chord, no pun intended. But it's this band from Wales. They were, in my eyes at least, they were very big in like 2010 through 2016, that range, and they're called the Joy Formidable, and they're a three-piece band. Their lead vocalist and guitarist, she shreds on guitar. It's insane, and the pedal board, her effects pedal board, is just it's huge. But really, they came to Arizona, where I'm at, and they played an acoustic set at a record store. And me and my buddies, when we were in high school, just stumbled upon them and we're like, hey, they're pretty cool. And we found out that that night they were actually playing at a venue close by to the record store, and we went, and they just blew my mind. Just the atmosphere they build with their songs and everything like that. It's just very layered, and it was a lot of fun, kind of like an indie rock band. The Joy Formidable is, but the song is called Whirring. And the one I picked is specific to a live performance they did in a bicycle shop for Sirius Radio, or it's South by Southwest. So sorry, South by Southwest. They did it, and it's just you just see their just like the raw, the passion they're putting behind it. They're really feeling the music. They're vibing on it. It's such a cool kind of live video to see. So Joy Formidable Whirring is my number one on the list. My number two is my probably my God, and a similar. I had the gracious. I was blessed to be able to see this man live in Vegas, and that is Phil Collins, and the song he has, and it's funny because the three songs I picked are all from this one live performance that he did in Paris in '97, and the song is "Hanging Long Enough." And just the way the trumpets at the beginning of the track just kick and it's high energy. And the if we're talking live itself and you're watching the video, it's a circular stage. It's in the middle of the arena. All the people are around them and they're just running around, going crazy. And just the music is such a vibe. But again, Phil Collins on Hanging Long Enough, that's my number two for sure. And
I,
then my number
I,
three.
I actually have a Phil Collins song on mine as
Yes.
well.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
my dad was very big into Genesis, and I I I think my first concert ever was a Genesis concert,
Now
like when
that's
I was like
awesome.
super young. And I just, Phil Collins has always been one that I've really enjoyed. And I did want to put a Phil Collins song or a Genesis song on there.
Yeah.
I ended up settling with a Phil Collins song, but I think Phil Collins was like the first musician that I can remember as a kid thinking, I kind of like this. This is
Yeah.
cool. Who is this? And
Right
what
on.
is happening right now? So I'm so happy that you picked a Phil Collins song, because now I feel a little bit more comfortable with my Phil Collins pick now.
He is amazing. And like I said, this is just number one. I got two more for you, my friend. But yeah, I got to see him in Vegas and it was awesome. It was just one of those things where me and my buddy have a friend who also is just head over heels for Phil Collins. And we were both like, if he ever does a tour again, we're going. And we were like on that pack for like 5 years. And then finally one year it was like, holy crap. Phil Collins is playing in Vegas. We gotta go. And we bought tickets. They were pricey as hell. And we went. But honestly, I think hands down, I wish I still had the video recordings on my phone from that. That was so long ago, but it was so much fun. One of the best concerts I've been to. Was killer. But then my number three. So we're gonna take kind of a turn, a little detour, and we're gonna go to a song by a band called Dillinger Escape Plan. and the song is called Sugar Coated Sour. And this, when they played it live, so they're like a math, metalcore, hardcore
Mhm,
band, and
mhm,
so it's just chaos the whole time. But they're very technical. The scales that they play, the arpeggios that they play on guitar are just insane. And they're playing at like in the middle of a mall. And the opening of the song just is like this arpeggiated guitar riff. But once the whole band kicks in the live video, the vocalist just immediately from the drum riser in the back of the stage outwards just runs and then proceeds to like walk on
mhm,
people's heads and shoulders in the middle of the crowd. And I remember as a in high school seeing this, my buddy's like, you got to see this video of this band. And I saw that. And as soon as he just runs for it and goes out, I was just like you're taken back. I was in shock. I'm like, holy cow, like this is, I want to do that. I want to
mhm,
be in that. And so the song is amazing. The band is incredible. Sadly, they're not around anymore, but
mhm,
they were great. And their guitarist, Ben Wyman, he is just insane on guitar. He's somebody that I definitely was like, I wish I could play like him. And
mhm.
so that's my number three.
Awesome. Great first three tracks. Two of them, fortunately, I've never heard of. So, again, one of the joys of listening to or starting this podcast is just getting to expand my horizons a little bit more. So I'm super excited to listen to those once I get your track list.
Okay.
Uh, all right, my first track. This feels a little bit like a cheat, but I'm just going for it anyways because I picked Queen and I picked their Live Aids, like a couple songs from their Live
I
Aids.
literally today was thinking, yeah,
Yeah.
Queen's got to be on the list.
So Queen is one of my favorite bands of all time, and kind of in the similar vein of Phil Collins. One of we had the Queen's Greatest Hits album. Just it's one of the first albums that I can remember just listening to it all the way through and
Mhm.
remembering, huh, I like all of these. Like little did I know, it's like, well, no duh, you're gonna like all of these. These are some of their best songs. But one of the things that I think about a lot when it comes to a live performance is stage presence. And
Mhm.
nobody has better stage presence than Freddie Mercury
Yeah,
did. I look back at that Live Aid set and it was amazing. Like from some of the little choices that they made, like they turned their volume up a little bit higher as opposed to everyone else so that they would be
that's
the loudest
awesome.
band
How
out there.
cool is that?
They picked like a prime time spot to where they would have like the most coverage. So it was a very strategic set list, and then also the two songs that are on the track it's Bohemian Rhapsody and it's Radio Gaga. Like, okay,
Mm,
like pretty straightforward songs. In hindsight, I probably would have picked one of their shorter ones just for time purposes, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't because just Bohemian Rhapsody is the first track on like a lot of like it's the first track on like the Wayne's World soundtrack. It's the first track on their the that greatest hits album that I had as a
mhm.
kid. So it's the song itself has a lot of significance, but I look back and I think if there was a band that I could ever go see live, it would be it would be
That would be
Queen.
incredible.
It would be Queen. So that is my number one. My number two, what did I end up picking? Going back, because I'm like tinkering with my list still
What
right
who
now.
was it? What was the name of the what's the name of the guitarist for Queen?
Brian May, I believe.
Yeah, he's like a rocket scientist or whatever. Did you
Yeah,
know that he doesn't even use a guitar pick when he plays? He uses like essentially like a quarter when he
really.
plays. Yeah, I thought when I learned that, I was like, holy cow. And he built his first guitar, which is also incredible.
Good Lord. That's fantastic. Okay. My next one, I think I'm gonna get a little shit for, and that's fine. That's fine. So growing up, my sister was a huge Hanson fan, and it was just my mom and sister. So as the lone boy in the house, I get no say, absolutely no say in the radio choices, the music choices, and that's fine. So Hanson was really popular when I was like 10, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is dumb. I'm not listening to this. But there's something that I will give them credit for is that they've stuck with their music. They have kind of evolved their sound, and also they've slowly but surely started to embrace what made them popular, which
Hmm.
is why my number two is like a live version of Bop that they did like when they're when they're older, their voices are deeper, and like it sounds like a legit song. And I think one of the things that I appreciate about this is I do find it pretty admirable that this group has been around since the mid 90s. They're still
Right.
making music,
The boys are still
and
going.
they're still doing what they love, but they've decided to put their own spin or their current spin on songs that maybe in hindsight probably they wouldn't do today.
Right.
And they're still just making the most of it. And as somebody who I look back at some of the things that I did in middle school and high school, I'm like, this fucking guy, like really? Like what is he doing? Like what is the matter with you? I do really like that when an artist can go back and put their own spin on
Yeah.
certain things and is like, yeah, let's just embrace this part of our lives and let's let's just steer into the skid, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So in a roundabout way, I've become a Hanson fan now that
There you go.
I'm older, and it's just I really like what what they did with this particular version
Love
of the
it.
song.
I gotta, it's funny that you say Hanson, so like yeah, off tangent a little bit, but so when I was playing music, we actually played in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they're kind
Oh,
of based out of Tulsa, if I'm not mistaken, and because they have like a brewery now and stuff, these guys,
right.
and we were playing at a venue in Tulsa, and there just so happened to be like this huge festival going on, and we were like outside after sound check, and we're like, what's going on out here? And we look and Hanson is playing like the stage. We're like, wait, Hanson? And everybody's like, yeah, it's Hanson's festival, man. And we're like, wait, they have their own
Hanson's
festival?
festival? Like
Yeah.
what?
So we got to catch like half of a Hanson set. So that they were
That's
pretty good.
they're fine. They're but that's cool that they have their own festival, I guess, in the middle of Oklahoma.
Hell
So
yeah.
good for him, man.
Excellent
My
choice.
my number three. This is just a pretty basic pick. It's Hotel California by the Eagles, and this is the first this is the first version that I ever heard of this song, with the big intro, the kind of it's a little bit on the slower side, and you hear the clapping of the people as soon as they start playing the opening riff. So I remember the first time that I actually heard like the actual song, I was like, oh, I like the live version better.
Right.
And there's a couple on here where I have that as kind of like my thing with some of these songs. It's like the live version of this, I think it's the first one that I had or that I had listened to, and I think I'm just gonna stick with that as
Yeah.
the definitive version of that. But Hotel California, it's it's an iconic song, and the other thing about it is that in college, I was in a fraternity and we participated in this thing every week or every year. It was called Greek Week, and one of the competitions was called Greek Sing, and it was like a choir competition. We were god awful. Just god awful. We didn't take it seriously at all, whereas everybody else did.
So you
And
didn't make the list. You
we
did.
did no, we did not. We were just terrible. But one time our track list or our like the songs that we picked were songs from the Big Lebowski. So we
Oh, that's
picked
awesome.
one of the songs was Hotel California, and I just remember singing it, and everybody else is singing with all this high energy and all that stuff, and here we are rocking out Hotel California. Yeah. So yeah, that's my first three.
Love it, man.
All right. Give me your next three.
All right, number four on the list. Kind of a similar is a band that's and a guitarist, I'll say that too, that really put made a big impact on me. And this specific version of the song, it's The Who, My Generation, when they're playing on, oh gosh, I'm drawing such a blank on the name of the talk show, but they're on the variety show and they're playing and so that was one that really stuck out to me. You're watching, Townsend just go crazy on guitar, and then Keith Moon is being Keith Moon and is just amazing on drums. And then, of course, at the end of it, you get the big crescendo, you get the big, explosion of amps and drums and throwing of guitars and you're watching this and could you I sit there sometimes and I'm like this was 19 like in the late 1960s. Could you imagine seeing this like like these
Mhm.
guys just going crazy at the end of
Right.
playing a song just on TV, like how crazy.
Hmm.
So that's my number four. My number five is then we venture into some more kookiness with the B-52s. I absolutely love the B-52s. They're so freaking fun. And I just every time I listen to them, I just immediately am having a better time. So
Hmm.
uh, them live in '83 they played, and I just the sound. I think similar to what you were saying, like this feels like it's almost like a better version of the original. and
Hmm.
and the song in question then is Mesopotamia. I think Mesopotamia is like my favorite B-52 song. So that's my number five. And then again, kind of in the same vein as far as like inundating me with the itch to play guitar is Kiss back in the 70s, but not necessarily Kiss, but Ace Frehley playing
Ah,
guitar.
got it.
And the song shocked me, but he in this version of the song in Houston in '77, he then proceeds into like a guitar solo, and then, of course, we then, while he's soloing, you get iconic Ace Frehley, where you get the smoking guitar, where the middle pickup is just on fire, just blowing smoke all over the place, and he's just going crazy. And he definitely had an impact on me and wanting to play guitar. And I think he actually also had a big impact on a few others on my list
Hmm.
when it comes to musicians. So not the biggest Kiss fan, at
Hmm.
least a question, but I wish I can remember it offhand, but there's like a saying where it's kind of like Gene sells Kiss, Paul plays Kiss, but Ace is Kiss, and
Mm.
Ace
Hmm.
really is totally Kiss, and so Ace Frehley all day. So that's my number
Nice.
six.
Nice. Good call outs with all of those and just such a diverse variety of
Right?
different things. I love it though. It's awesome stuff. So all right, my next three. These are three songs where I don't know, they're like these I think just partially it's the message behind it, and then
Mm,
I think in particular like the two the so this first one it's there's a version of Mercy by Shawn Mendes that he does on MTV Unplugged that I really like. And look, I'm not the most religious person on the face of the planet. It's just not my thing. And I'm okay with admitting that.
yeah.
I'm spiritual, but I'm not like religious or anything like that. And I'm not saying that this song is overtly like spiritual or anything like that. But when I think of the word mercy, I do think about my faith a little bit. And
Right.
I can knock a lot of things about the church, the institution of church in general, but
Hmm.
one thing that I cannot knock is the effect that gospel and like Christian music do have on people.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I am I huge fans of either of them? No, not really. But at the same time, I can understand why so many people out there do like it. And this is probably the closest that I'm ever going to get to anything like that. So this just the lyrics, it just there's sometimes it just seems like he he's straining his voice a little bit on purpose during this
Mm,
song. Kind of just like, please have mercy on me, please have, take it easy on my heart. And Just everybody's like singing along and they're like really excited about it. I think it would have been cool if there would have been like a couple more like silent moments in that.
Mm.
Just him like playing it. It's just a little bit more of a like toned down and like an acoustic-y set. But I like this song a lot, and it's one that like again just it's gonna get this is as close as I'm gonna get to something like as spiritual as my faith can tolerate at
Right.
this point. So that's why I picked that one. My next one is the song. There's a live version of Lightning Crashes by Live, and it's this song. I never realized like when I first heard it, I was just like, oh, this is a cool sounding song. You eventually figure out it's like, oh, it's about giving birth and like,
Oh wow.
all that
I've never
stuff.
even heard of the band or
So
artist.
this song also was really popular during like the aftermath of 9/11. And
Mm.
I can remember hearing this song like back like the weeks after 9/11 happened. It was really popular on the radio back when, couldn't stream shit on
Yeah.
anything. You actually had to listen to stuff on the radio, and there would be clips of like people who were like in the towers and like people recording like messages to
Wow.
people, like they would splice that into certain songs, and it was like a really sad and messed up time to be listening to the radio. But this was one song that always kind of like stuck out to me. So I really like this song a lot, and the live version is just fantastic
Mm.
of it as well. And the last one is Aerosmith. Like Aerosmith is one of those bands that if if I would have had my shit together at some point, I would have found a way to go watch them because Aerosmith has just been around forever,
Right.
and there's not very many people out there who have like the vocal range that Steven Tyler does.
Very
And
true.
my one of my favorite Aerosmith songs is called "Hole in My Soul," and it's one where it's among one of their sadder songs, obviously, because the title is "Hole in My Soul." But I think the thing that I appreciated about this song is that I really liked the music video when it came
Mm.
out. It was like very sad and solemn, but there was something that was like oddly hopeful about it as well, even though I don't think that was the message I was supposed to get, but I still interpret it as such. And
It's
one of my
art.
buddy, yeah, exactly. And one of my buddies had the Aerosmith did like a live album, and this track came up, and it was just so unexpected because I didn't think the song was that popular,
Yeah.
nor did I think that it would make like, oh, this actually would go with like some of their more popular stuff like Crying and Angel, and this was like pre I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. So I don't know, like it was just a pleasant surprise, and it was one that I really like the version that they put out for this album because it does a great job of kind of like conveying the pain in the song, but then
Mm.
at the end, it's a little bit more upbeat than the actual track is because it goes into like a more upbeat song afterwards. But that's kind of what I appreciate about live music is that, look, it doesn't always have to be exactly like it is on the
Yeah.
album. And you could put your own spin on things. You could go back and be like, this is how I wish we could have recorded it, but now I can
Hmm.
just record it now. And uh, I think, like, to me, that's what I think they did with this song. And I think that the track is all the more better for it.
That's great. Yeah. It's kind of now in the context of the show, the
Yeah.
the concert, rather than in the context of the album that it's a part of. So yeah, you can manipulate it and do different things with it, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. Give me your next three.
My number seven. Number seven is a band, again, another little hardcore band called Converge. And they played in 2004. They played a show live in Iceland. And this one specifically, I find really as kind of one that had an impression on me. Not only like the camera angles for some reason really did it for me as I play this show. Just there's like a lot of like aerial shots for whatever reason, but so you're getting a lot more shots of like the drummer and things like that. But just their energy, this band as they still play, they're still going on, and their energy just doesn't let up. They're just it's high, it's intense. They're going crazy. But the song is called "Eagles Become Vultures," and it's really kind of one of these songs where, with a lot of songs, I think like hardcore bands kind of fall into the tropes of like, working that 9 to 5 and trying to go against the grain and being the cog in the wheel and stuff like that. And just like it's saying, the Eagles becoming vultures and just kind of having fun with that even imagery itself. So, just that angst really is what I enjoy, and it really comes across in their live performances, just that aggression itself. But of course, you converge, a lot of those guys, even like their guitarist Kurt Ballou, he's like one of the kindest guys ever. You watch interviews with him and it's just super chilled, laid back. But the energy is what really gravitated me towards that version of the song itself. My number 8 pick, we're going back to the homie. We got to head back to the foundation. Phil Collins, he's back, of course, 97, live in Paris. But this is Something on the Way to Heaven. It's another one of the songs that I am just all about.
Love
Um,
this song.
yeah, this
Love
song
it.
is incredible. And I think what really does it too, I know I kind of talked a little bit about this specific concert, but also for this concert and just in general, Phil Collins, and this can be said for a lot of artists, but just the size of the band that he uses is just incredible. And when you hear it, especially as I did like live, it's a wall of sound. And you hear that a lot from people where it's like, man, they were so loud or something like that. But Phil Collins was loud for sure.
Mhm.
But like you then think about the mixing that has to go on and the levels that you have to manipulate to make it just sound right. That in itself is like really like artistry.
Mhm.
And so that's my number 8 pick. Something happened on the way to heaven. Such a great song.
Good pick.
And then kind of this one, well, since we were talking, of course, the theme being live, this was really honestly the first song that popped in my brain because I'm like, you can't have a live mixtape without this one band who, at least for me, obviously there was live albums beforehand, but this band I remember was a prominent role in my early years and the creation of this album, and you listen to it just front and back. But then this specific song, which is probably my favorite song off of Hybrid Theory, I'll say it, is Linkin Park, Live in Texas. That live album itself is just so great. And I feel like I'm just going to say the same thing for a lot of these. It's just the high energy. It's just
Mhm.
you hear it in these guys. And then of course, with Linkin Park, you get the late Chester Bennington, who's incredible, and you
Mhm.
listen to him and just the tone that he can get on his voice is it's stunned. I'm stunned by the way he can sound. Both, going from a scream to then just like singing at this huge high volume. Oh, it's incredible. But Points of Authority is the song, and that's just I think the opening of it it's just I feel like I can run through a brick wall when I hear it.
Mhm.
So that's my number 9 pick.
Good stuff, man. So this is where I'm gonna get to my Phil Collins song. So
Yes.
my Phil Collins song is so I wrestled a lot with what Phil Collins song I was gonna pick, and I ended up settling on "In the Air Tonight." And the reason why I ended up picking "In the Air Tonight" is just I think it just kind of accentuates just one of the things that Phil Collins does really well that maybe he doesn't get as much credit for as he should,
Hmm.
because he's, for the most part, he's known as like this, great lyricist and great singer. He's also an amazing drummer,
Yeah,
though,
dude.
as well.
Yeah.
So just that the drum beat in there, and look, I've heard that there's, conflicting accounts of like the significance of this story and things that he's done,
Yeah.
with this song. But I still can't deny that the song has like a huge impact and something that I really enjoy. So I I really like this. I wanted to add a Phil Collins song on here, and I kind of just settled on this one.
And that would I'll hint to it. That one's on my list. But to this song specifically, Phil Collins created the pop snare drum. Like
Yeah.
the snare sound that you hear in a bunch of pops, like he created it, and it was the birth in this song. Like, and to think that he created a song and all this is the beat is a metronome. He didn't like it's
Mhm.
crazy. Like, and but I think that just goes to show just how creative, like it's minimal, but it's so effective because, like you said, I mean, there's really a deep underlying story being told that if
Mhm.
I think if it was just some like, jargon on top of it just for the sake of writing a song, it would not nearly hit like it did.
Mhm.
But to have kind of that kind of level of theme on it and storytelling, really, yeah, totally.
Mhm.
I'll talk about it more later on.
Nice, nice. The last one that I have for this group is AC/DC. And
Oh,
another one
great
where
pick.
just really wish I could have seen this or like AC/DC at all live.
Oh,
Because they have such a great, like the guitar work is amazing. It's just, iconic songs, everything like that that you could ask for with a live performance. And they've got a live version of Thunderstruck out there
mm.
that is just it's great because as soon as the guitar starts to go, everyone just goes nuts, and you could just hear everybody just screaming thunder.
Oh,
And
I'm
if
getting goosebumps just
if
thinking,
if
like
there's
honestly.
any if there's ever like a song out there that I'd want to go see live, like this would be pretty high up there, because yeah, like we all have a list of artists that, love to go see them one day, or I missed my chance, but hey, weirder things have happened.
Right.
And to me, AC/DC has just such a powerful sound that just lends itself to just a kick-ass show. And
Hmm.
I have another song, or not another song, but another artist who I think they kind of model a little bit of some of the things that they do a little after AC/DC, but in a more
You have piqued
unique
my
and
interest.
strange way, because that is something that the lead singer of the band did mention. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, just Thunderstruck, just great song, and just it would literally be electric to
Could you
see that
imagine,
live.
dude?
Yeah.
Oh, that was definitely Thunderstruck was like it was on my list, and then I was like,
Mhm.
sorry, bud, I gotta make
Yeah,
room for
that's
this, but it is an honorable mention, yeah, for sure. Oh, that would
and
have been insane to see
and
live.
that's one of the tricky things about groups of songs
Right,
like this. I think I owe you one more song in this group,
you
right?
do.
Okay, so one that I have in here, Johnny Cash, and I'm not the biggest Johnny Cash fan per se,
Fair.
mainly because I think his stuff sometimes can feel a little basic, but can't deny that just low, gravelly, just like deep voice. And if anything, it's just there's just such a presence about it. And what better way to have that presence than at Folsom Prison Blues at Folsom Prison as well. Like I've listened to this album a couple of times. I thought that it was a unique place to have a concert, but
Right.
also just what a I'm sure for him at least, what a cool experience to do something like that and make the most of it. And just this track opens like, hey everyone, we're here in Folsom Prison. And yeah, just I got to give Johnny Cash a lot of credit for that. So yeah, that's my last song in this
Love it,
group.
man.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Next three.
All right. I believe we're on your 10, 11, and 12.
Yes, sir. So number 10. So kind of on, oh, this is, it's tough because, we got a lot of Phil Collins love going on here. And, but this band was probably the band that got me into music. The singer of this band, he's amazing. And I wish he was still with the band, man. He was so freaking kick-ass. But Journey is my number 10. I absolutely love Journey to death. And their iconic live in Houston in 81, that whole concert is fantastic. And even like what Stephen Perry's wearing, like just that like cheetah print shirt with like the piano, I don't know what the hell they call 'em, like a conductor
Hmm.
jacket or whatever the heck it is. But Who's Crying Now is my number 10. I just love that song. I love a lot of Journey songs, but I think this one it definitely hits a little bit more for me, especially in this version of it. It's classic, and his interaction within the song with the
Hmm.
audience, it's excellent, man. So that's Journey number 10.
Journey's another band that, boy, Steve Perry just really just knows how to put on a show. And this isn't to say that the new guy that sounds pretty much verbatim like Steve Perry uh, can't put on just as good of a show, because he does, but I don't know, it's just different. It's not good, it's
Yeah,
not
it's
bad, it's just different. That's all. And
yeah.
it's it's kind of the same thing that I feel a little bit with listening to the new lead singer for Linkin Park. I think
Mm,
it's it's different, but I appreciate the fact that they chose a direction, they decided to come back. Their new lead singer is really awesome, but it's it's just not it's not Chester. And
yeah, I could go
that's
on about that one, my
and
friend.
that but I appreciate the fact that they decided to come back and that they did their due diligence to
Right.
to find someone that would match what they're looking to do now. And yeah, like I just give them all the credit for that. But it's again, it's not good, it's not bad, it's different,
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with different.
I will say I wish I could remember homie's name off the top of my head who's now with Journey, but what he lacks in vocal abilities, he
Hmm.
definitely makes up for in stage presence, and
Hmm.
he just goes crazy.
Yeah.
So kudos to him. Number 11. So a throwback to a to a band like early pioneer, like a founding father of like hardcore music, and
Hmm.
specifically in Washington D.C. hardcore, where you have bands like Minor Threat, Black Flag, even though they're West Coast, but bands like that. But Bad Brains is my next pick on number 11, and the song is At the Atlantis, and this is at CBGB's, which would have been crazy to see a show there back in '79. But the show itself, I mean, this is like an early, be it '79, but like an early '80s, just when you watch it, everybody's just having a blast. It's such a different vibe back then to what you can kind of see in a lot of shows nowadays, but they're having a great time, and everybody knows the words to just this little band back then that really
Hmm.
didn't get huge as Bad Brains is nowadays. But there's one iconic moment in the song, and it's more visual than anything. And their vocalist, as he's, screaming, essentially, he then, pauses as there's a break in the song, and then he just does a standing backflip out of nowhere, just backflips. And it's just like, it just catches you so off guard. And really when he does that, it just like reinvigorates the audience, and everybody goes crazy, and people are jumping off the stage, and that's really a Bad Brains, set when you watch it and listen to them.
Hmm.
So Bad Brains for sure is my number 11. They're great.
Nice.
And then number 12. So this one I have on here as kind of like I gotta have you on here because I love this band so much. And this version of the song, they sound horrible. So this is my I don't know the word, but it's just kind of like, okay, come along. You're on board. Get in here. And it's the band, this band called At the Drive-In. And
Mm.
they're similar, kind of like just like a rock and roll band, but they go crazy, as they're jumping around, all this stuff. But all the jumping around they do, they totally just like, eat shit. Playing guitar, it just sounds absolutely horrific. And they're playing on the in 2000 the Live on Later with Jules Holland back
Mm.
over in the UK. So it's their set there. The song is called One Arm Scissor, probably one of their most famous songs, One Arm Scissor. But you watch it and like you're listening to like the guitar and like it sounds like somebody that's never played like Guitar Hero. So it's just all those like cracks
Ah,
and pops and it's just like,
got
but
it.
it's fun to watch because the stage presence alone, it does it for me. So so that's my number 12 on my list.
Got it, man. Good stuff. All right. As I'm continuing to tinker, and now I have even less tracks than I had before, because time has just, been
What can you
evaporated.
do?
But okay, so my next three. Actually, I'll do my next two just since you said you got about 20 tracks on
Yeah,
yours. I've got about 15 on mine now,
cool.
because for time purposes. And a big reason why is because I thought of there's a song that I thought of as we're talking that I'm like, God, this would have been awesome to kind of just experience this song live. And it's Billy Joel live at Madison
Mm,
Square Garden singing Piano Man.
there you
Just,
go.
you
Like a
know,
is it like the recent kind of, or is
I,
this like, oh, because he just like recently played Madison
mhm.
Square, I think.
I'm not sure how recent it is actually, but
Hmm,
Billy Joel's like because Billy Joel came to Chicago around where I'm from
right on.
recently, and I just was like, mainly because I'm about 45 minutes north of the city and it's at Wrigley Field, which if
Ooh,
you've ever been to Wrigley Field,
yeah.
it's a bit of a dump, but it's like at least in like a nicer part of the city than where the White Sox play. But
Yeah.
also, like at the time I only had one kid, but it's still kind of a pain to leave them behind or leave her and my wife behind just for a concert where I'm gonna get back super late and probably reeking of weed that's just around like
That's
the
the
entire
worst.
concert space. So, but Piano Man is just everybody singing along to it, and what just what a cool experience that would have been just to kind of be there. I did get invited to go to that concert with some friends, and I was like, I'm good, and I regret it a little bit, but also kind of not really as well. And then this is where my next four songs, and I'm only going to give just one now, is that my next four songs are from people I've seen live, and just I kind of
Mm,
remember, parts of the shows that I've seen live. And
absolutely.
this first one is Jason Mraz, and Jason Mraz came to my college, small dinky college out of like far southern suburbs, far like central Illinois, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's it was back in the day when Jason Mraz wasn't that popular yet, and that's even stretching it to say that he's popular now. But Jason Mraz, I'll never forget this because his opening act was a fucking magician. It's like,
Real.
what is
Oh,
happening right now? Like, why? What is going on?
I'm about it.
So, like the magician, he called himself an illusionist. He was just like, nope, nope, I'm not a magician. I create illusions. Like,
Illusions, Michael.
dear Lord. And I I just remember thinking, because I was working backstage because like it was a volunteer opportunity where like I could get community service hours for that.
Hmm.
And I just remember like scratching my head a little bit, being like, I've lost a little bit of respect for this guy. But then he started playing, and it was like, okay, it's back. Like a little bit, not like 100% there. It's like 95% there.
Yeah.
But the song I picked, I'm a sucker for an acoustic guitar. Kind of like another part of that is, I'm a sucker for the ukulele as well. So I really like his live rendition of "I'm Yours," which just a nice slowish song with a cool ukulele sound. Yeah, just a nice sweet song.
Very
And
cool.
just again, Jason Mraz, like I will never not think of Jason. Like when he was on Dancing with the Stars, I was like, you came to my college with a magician, dude. Like what are you doing? But yeah,
He's a wild card, it sounds like. It's just
it
don't
sounded
know what
like
you're gonna
it.
get.
No, it was definitely the most unique opening act I've ever seen,
I love it.
but it was a fun show. I can't deny that. So, correct me if I'm wrong, your next set would be 13, 14, and 15? Okay.
Yippers.
Okay, cool.
Cool. So number 14. So it's kind of like I do like the band, but there's somebody in the band for this specific song that when I saw this video of them playing live, oh, I was so taken back. So the band is Chiodos, and they're playing, I believe it's Warped Tour that they're playing in North Carolina in like 2014. And at this point, I hadn't been really following them. I mean, you listen to a few songs here and there, but they kind of fell off it seems like they fell off the face of the earth. And then they came back and they're playing Warped Tour. But on guitar for them is a guy by the name of Thomas Eric. And Thomas Eric is an amazing guitarist. He similar to like The Joy Formidable, my first song, where huge pedal board. The way he manipulates a guitar is just incredible. But he played for a band called The Fall of Troy. And The Fall of Troy is like one of my all-time favorite bands of all time. Deluminator is like the greatest album
Mhm.
that they ever put out. So good. And so when I saw that this guy was playing guitar for Chills, I was just like, what the heck? And
Mhm.
there's and within the song, there's a guitar riff at the beginning, and it's like hammer-ons and pull-offs. So he's just going, but then Thomas just straight up just starts playing it with one hand, and then I'm just like, what the heck? Like it was just incredible. And it's the song is The World's Best Friend Becomes Redefined. And so it's probably one of their most famous songs that the Chiodos have. So that's my number 14.
Nice.
So on there. Number 15. So this one too, I love the story behind this set, I guess you can call it. And it's Kill Switch Engage.
Mhm.
And it's a newer show that they did. When I say newer, it was 2014. But I believe speaking of Chicago, they played This Is Hardcore, and it was out of Chicago. But it's Kill Switching Age, and to think about it is, I mean, this is a band that's playing like huge. I'm talking huge, thousands of people festivals, and when you think that, you get these huge stages that are as big as a house, really, and there's barricades. So these guys are. At the very least 30 feet away from the actual audience themselves. So they come and play This Is Hardcore, and there's no barricade. The stage is 4 feet tall, and
Mhm.
it's maybe it's probably 10 feet long. So you get this huge band to play this tiny little stage in front of this crowd that's going crazy. And the song is My Last Serenade, and it's a very old song by them. It's off of one of their early albums, and so everybody really knows the words. So you get these guys just jumping on top of each other, like literally grabbing the mic out of Jesse's hands, the vocalist, to scream the lyrics with him. And you can just tell that the band is having like an amazing time playing this concert because they don't get to do this. And I think even in the set, they say that like we don't get to play these kinds of shows anymore. We don't get to be this close with you guys. And I just love that. I love that
Mhm.
idea that they're right there in it. And it's kind of like going back to their roots in a sense and kind of reliving that. So I thought it was a lot of fun to see that.
Nice.
And then it kind of starts to venture into kind of like my cornerstone years. So there was like
Mm.
this festival Cornerstone. I don't know if they still do it, but it seemed like at least when I was in high school, there was definitely this how do I want to word it? Almost like a subgenre of like heavier music that was like
Mhm.
Christian hardcore for some
Okay.
reason. So like Under Oath and stuff like that. So you get a lot of
Okay.
these bands. So I think like The Devil Wears Prada played Cornerstone early on. But the band that is my number 16 is this band called The Chariot. And the Chariot, they're no longer around. This was back in 2008, and they released this album called The Fiance. And The Fiance is probably their greatest album that they ever put out, in my opinion. Every song is amazing, and it just really hit. Their sound was so different than other like heavier bands. They just did some weird stuff. And not only did they do that like musically, but when they played their shows, it was just so out of left field. And with this one, they're playing they're playing the song, and the song is called "The Death Policeman." And halfway through their song, they take all of the amps, not even their amps, they're just taking their guitar cabs. They're taking this band's
Mhm.
guitar cab and they just start stacking them on stage. And it's probably at least 15 feet in the air on a stage that's already, crazy high. And they all start climbing on it, and you get the guitarist at the top, a bass player hanging off of it, and actually he jumps into the crowd. And it's like while this is all happening, there's just this long drawn out buzz of feedback, and then they
Mhm.
boom right back into the song, and it's just crazy. Everybody's going crazy, and I think it's that specific song and that specific performance of it. It is what the Chariot was. It kind
Mhm.
of that's if there was a definition or something of that kind, this would be their definition. This song and that
Mm.
performance. So that's my number 16.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. My next two, so this is 12 and 13. These, so two kind of like older musicians that saw them like way past their prime, but still put on, well, one put on a hell of a show. The other
Hmm.
just played music the whole time, and it's very clear that all he wanted to do was play music, just didn't care about the showmanship part that comes with live
Oh,
music.
he was just jamming.
He was just jamming the whole
Oh,
time, and
cool.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
So the first one is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and
Mm.
I saw Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers at the Hollywood Bowl in LA, and the Hollywood Bowl is just one of those, I guess the best way to put it, it's just an interesting place to watch a concert
That
because
would be
it's outdoors, it's like it's so grand in scope
very much so.
with
Yeah.
everything. And it's just right for like the music just to like engulf the whole area that it's in. And if there's any song that Tom Petty played during his set that got the most reaction, it's of course the one that mentions Ventura Boulevard. So Free Fallin' is the
Yeah.
one that I picked. Listening to this, it just brought me back to being in that concert, and dear Lord, did it just reek of weed the whole time. But Tom Petty, Top was their opening act. It was just a
Whoa.
blast.
I'd be
And
more interested in ZZ Top.
I'm not gonna lie, the ZZ Top was really great too. But the Hollywood Bowl, where in my apartment when I lived in LA, was within walking distance as well.
Wow.
So that was always a blast just to go there and
You're just opening your window.
yeah, like so the next one. This is the guy that just he just played music. He just didn't really like at the end of each song, he was just like, "Thank you," and just would start playing his
Into the
his next
next.
song. It's Eric Clapton, and
Oh, well,
yeah. So let me just preface this by saying I'm not a huge fan of what Eric Clapton has become
yeah,
recently, but I will to separate the artist from the man, which for me sometimes is
it's
a little
tough.
tricky.
Yeah,
But Eric Clapton, I went to go see him in Milwaukee when I was in high school, and
very cool.
the guy, dear Lord, a shit opening act who just like a bunch of nobodies, unfortunately. But
It was my
like
band. No.
no, how dare you? No, the I remember the opening act for this Eric Clapton concert. I remember just specifically that the drummer was just going for it, and I was like, this guy understands the assignment. And there were a lot of songs during that Eric Clapton concert that just got everyone up from their seats. And Eric Clapton's an amazing guitarist. Like you cannot deny that. But the song that kind of like got everyone to just like shut up and sit down was Tears in Heaven. And
Mm,
it's just it's a really sad song. Like but it's also just he strategically places it in a part of his in his set list that okay, let's get this song, like let's get this one because it's just
right.
one of his best later songs, but it kind of feels like let's get this out of the way, and everyone kind of understood it's like, yeah, this is among one of his sadder songs, and then we're just gonna get to rocking the rest of the night.
Yeah,
So it felt like a bit of like, here's the bottom of the wave, let's just continue to go up from there.
I love
But
that.
I can't deny that it was beautiful. It was just everybody just sat and listened and just took it in. And then I think after that he played Wonderful Tonight, and then he just kind of went with the latter parts of his concert, which was just the classics with like the awesome guitar and everything like that. Yeah, Eric Clapton, fuck you, man, but whatever, it's all good.
That would have been a vibe, I think. You
Yeah.
know, you're just kind of hanging out, watching
Mhm.
just this band just jam out. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Give me
Where am I at? Number 17? Am I
Yeah,
crazy?
I believe so. So why
Just
don't you do
rattle.
17, well, no, 17, 18, and then I'll do my last two, and then you can do your last two.
Cool.
Mhm.
Okay. So my number 17, similar to my 16 with the Chariot, because they kind of, this band and the Chariot kind of hold similarities, but kind of are in cut from the same cloth because the vocalist of the Chariot was also in this band previously, and the band is called Norma Jean. And
Mhm.
there is, again, similar where it's just like this was a video that somebody showed me of this band playing live, and the festival was called Furnace Fest, and they actually brought back Furnace Fest recently. But this is from 2002, and they showed me it. And similar, it was just kind of one of those things where I watched this band play, and I'm just like, I want to do that. I want to play
Mhm.
music like that.
Mhm.
And the song is called Memphis Will Be Laid to Waste. And it's pretty, it's again, I I say that for Norma Jean, at least when I was in high school, this was their like their big song. This was the one that if you knew who Norma Jean was, Memphis Will Be Laid to Waste was the one. And to watch them play it, and they're just going crazy. The vocalist is crawling under the drum riser and just going insane. So it's again one of those where I was just like, I that is what I want to be. So that's my 17.
Mhm.
And then number 18. So this one is if there was like the a single for this, it would
Mhm.
be this song. So number 18, I tried to say it's almost like the best for last.
Mhm.
But 18 is Pantera. And because I absolutely love Pantera. Values are trash. Not about that life, but it's Dimebag Darrell, and again, he's iconic. His guitar playing, I think he also really came off as a genuine dude
Mhm.
and really like a friendly guy, just super laid back. But they played in Moscow in '91, and I've never seen it for this video for this concert so many people. I mean we're talking million plus. Like it was crazy. Sea of people that they're playing to. And the song is called Domination. And
Mhm.
Domination is a song where towards the end of it you get just this really heavy slow breakdown. And this version of it like you hear it and you get goosebumps because they go into this breakdown and the whole entire field of people, the sea of people start just chanting, just hey,
Mhm.
hey, hey, and they're in time with the kicks and the hits, and it's just it really does something to you when you hear it and see it. And then on top of that, for the breakdown, Dimebag Darrell just goes into this insane guitar solo, and you're watching it, and you're like, this guy is a god. Like this guy does incredible things with a guitar, and I will never be able to play like that.
Mhm.
Um, so Pantera Domination, that's my number 18.
Pantera is one of those bands that I've listened to a couple of their things, and it's one where I'm still searching for an entry point.
For sure.
And I'll have to definitely give this one a chance because I'm sure if I just find my proper entry point, you know, I'll I'll become a fan.
Yeah, they've definitely, I mean, they were a hair metal band, right? And then they just
Hmm.
ventured into this, and then it kind of just became its own entity, and they got heavier and just kind of a little bit slower. And I
Hmm.
do think a lot of the themes that they play on in their songs are really interesting. But like I mentioned, I mean, Anselmo, he's a terrible person, and
Hmm.
but their bass player, he's incredible. He went to college as a, I believe he was like a celloist. So he's
Hmm.
like super educated when it comes to music, and both Dimebag and Vinny, just what they brought, being the foundation of Pantera, they both were great. And fortunately, we lost both of them. But yeah, I think they're just fun. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's really all I can say.
gotcha. All right. My last two. So this is the last of my artists that I've seen live and that I really enjoyed. I'm pretty sure that this was probably the last concert that I went to that wasn't a kids concert.
Ooh, I'm
Yeah,
interested in those
it's
too.
probably probably the case. Lori Berkner, great
Oh, cool.
live performer. Definitely recommend that. That's not the artist on this. This was the band that they said during their concert that, hey, we want to play like AC/DC, but we're gonna be pretty shitty about it.
I was
And
interested in this.
that's Tenacious D. And
Uh,
Tenacious D puts on a hell of a show
I've
because
seen
because Jack Black is just an amazing front man and he's
great
just having
pick.
so much fun with it. And also underrated guitarist Kyle Gass
Right?
just knows how to
Thank
shred it
you.
really well. But when I went to go see Tenacious D live, there was a phallic looking dragon
Yeah.
behind them the whole time, and they were playing Tribute, which is what I ended up picking on this. And then they go into the last song, and the dragon they played it off like, oh, the dragon's about to blow fire, but like it blew confetti off of the very tip of it. It was like this a little on the nose, just a little on the nose, too much for this, but they put on a hell of a show. It's so much fun. Like, and I saw it at this like really awesome theater in Chicago. It's called the Aragon Ballroom, and
Mm.
I loved it so much. It was a lot of fun. My last track, this is another band that I wish I could see one day because I'd like to think that they put on like a really good show because I have a buddy of mine who's seen them in the Phoenix area actually,
Oh, cool.
and he said that they do put on a hell of a show. So my last track is Muse, and it's Uprising.
Dude,
So
great pick.
so
Holy cow.
I had a pick of a couple of different tracks on here from Muse. I'm not like a huge fan, but I know some of their more popular stuff. But Muse is one of those bands that they just go for it and they're wailing the whole time. And like I don't know, like I think that Muse would be a great band at that new Sphere in Las Vegas who
That
just
would be
their
insane.
their music
Great stuff, dude.
would just lend itself really
Could you
nicely
imagine?
to that
Whoa.
stadium. So so yeah, that's my last track is Muse, and I am basing this on my buddy Jason who lived in Phoenix for a while,
Right on.
who vouches for them and says like this is they're a hell of a show. It's like, well, I will take your word for it and I will add them to the list.
They are great. I wish I knew their names, but their bass player, incredible. The
Mhm.
guy is insane on bass. But I actually funny you mentioned Muse. That's a good one. I actually got to see Muse once live, and down since I'm in Phoenix, down like an hour and a half to Tucson. They played
Mhm.
down there when I was in high school, and their opening band was Avenged Sevenfold. It was so
No.
weird. It was so
Whoa.
weird.
Avenged Sevenfold.
Opened
Okay.
it for Muse. It's just so weird. But Muse was insane. They're great. Excellent pick. I like that one. Excellent.
All
Where are
right.
we at?
Take
None,
take us
19. Take us
home.
home.
Take us home.
All right. All right. So, number 19. So, this again is a band, heavy metal band, just going crazy. Probably the craziest out of all of these picks that I have. This one specifically, they were playing in France in like 2004, but it's Slipknot. I absolutely love Slipknot. Maybe not so much on the newer stuff. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. And especially just with the last few years of insane rotations of members and
Mhm.
just that the mystique is broke that, oh, Corey and Jim Root kind of just own the band and these guys are employees. So it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. And I'm probably wrong on some of that, but yeah, so but this one specifically is People Equal Shit. And the song is incredible. It's so
Mhm.
high energy, just so in your face, and that's really them. I mean, it's just they don't care when they're just so about being just right here, just screaming at you,
Mhm.
and it really comes across. And to I think Slipknot is one of these bands, specifically Corey Taylor, who just really has that command of an audience and command of a huge audience. The guy just knows how to kind of work with them and kind of perform for them and then likewise he gets something always out of them. Uh, but you watch it and I watch these videos, especially of like Joey Jordison, their late drummer, and he's incredible and the sound that he got from his drums is insane. I loved his tone, especially how it comes off from these live recordings, like incredible. And then on top of that, you get like Jim Root, who plays guitar for them. Just he does these dissonant chords that really ring out, and you get who's Sid, who does like record scratching and stuff like that, a lot of like effects for them. And
Mhm.
what I find fun is that sometimes when I listen to just like the studio recordings, it's the mixing and mastering doesn't really play well with what he's doing. So to hear it in a live setting, you kind of pick up on the nuances that he does and what he actually adds to the table or
Mhm.
brings to the table, I should say. And it's a lot of fun. So People Equal Shit is my number 19. It's a lot of fun. I just like
Nice.
it.
Yeah.
And of course, back then in 2004 was probably my favorite Corey Taylor mask because it's just like
Mm.
this weird melted face and he has his long hair and it's multicolored. It's great. And then lastly, number 20 is a band from Buffalo, New York. Not around anymore because they had this crazy falling out. Damn siblings. The guitarist and vocalist were a brother, and their brothers. I don't know the full story, but it sounds like he went crazy almost.
No.
Uh, but the band is called Every Time I Die, and the song is called Map Change. But specifically, they played this Map Change when they performed. It was their last time playing Warp Tour. And
Mm.
it was back when like Warp Tour was going away. And I know this year, actually, I shouldn't say this year, but they announced this year it's coming back Warp Tour, and next year it's on. And it actually sold out like crazy. But so good for you, Kevin Lyman. But Map Change is an incredible song. I got some of Keith Buckley, the vocalist, incredible lyricist. He's written books, he's written poetry, but he's an incredible lyricist. I got a tattoo of some of the lyrics specifically to this song, but I just love what this song is about. It's just about like, the pressure you put on yourself and you find yourself in dark places at times, but you're able to get out of it. It's not the end of the
Mm.
world kind of a thing. So it's a great song. But specifically just the ending of it, you get the guitarist just playing the main riff of the song out kind of almost like as if there was going to be an encore, but it doesn't happen. And but it's just so beautiful. And as he's playing, they're tearing down the equipment, they're tearing down the amps and drums. So it's very poetic, I think,
Mm.
for being that it was their last set with Warped Tour and things like that. And I think it's a great kind of wrap up, putting the bow on my little list of songs.
Awesome. So that's our track list.
Yeah.
We did it. We went through all of them. Loved hearing your reasonings behind what you picked, and just love getting to discover later on when I actually get the track or the playlist, just getting to experience some of
Heck
this
yeah,
stuff.
man.
So I'm really looking forward to that. Last question I have for you before we wrap up. If this album were to be an actual CD, what would be the album cover art?
So literally the whole time we've been kind of talking, I've been just racking this in my brain, trying to think about it. And my initial gut reaction was I it should just be kind of like a picture of me, like, but like in like, I don't know, sixth grade or something crazy.
Hmm.
Just like a younger version of me, because I think this list really shows kind of is a really good representation of just the creation of me when it comes to music and what then I became as kind of a young adult and then even into adulthood and kind of where I went and really just pulling from like the lyrics and the songs and a lot of the interviews these guys do kind of help shape kind of my values in a lot of cases or how I perceive certain situations and things like that. So if I had to give probably the most narcissist answer is a picture of me,
I don't
but as a kid.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that though. I mean, it's if this album is supposed to be representative of who you are and kind of like the influences that
Yeah.
you have, what better thing to showcase than, the person that this is about? So I totally understand where you're coming from with that. So that's a good call out. And not no, like I good call out with that. So for me, I'm looking back to one of my most interesting concert going experiences, which
Mm.
is when I saw Blink 182, and they're not great live, but it's still a lot of fun. And opening for them was Green Day. Like,
Huh.
how did this
Love.
happen? So they had a part of their show, or Green Day did, where they asked two groups of people to, just get on one side, you get on another side, and you just run towards each
Run,
other.
yeah.
Um,
A good old fashioned wall of death.
yeah. So my album cover would be these two groups, and they would be a hologram. And once you kind of like move the hologram, they just kind of
Ooh,
smash into each other like a bunch of idiots that we were.
I
So
love it, man. That's a good
so
one.
so yeah, that's what I would pick for mine because if I look back at that and be like, I really could have gotten hurt, but
Oh, I
I
got stories, dude.
but at the same time, I still really enjoyed the experience. It was still
Love
a
it.
lot of fun, and that is the beauty in a nutshell of what a live concert is. It's about getting to experience the music of an artist that you love in a different way, and get to just experience the showmanship and the stage presence that they have, in addition to just experiencing their music in a different way.
Right.
So. I could think of no better way than to showcase that than with that particular experience at a Green Day concert. No, it's technically a Blink-182 concert, but Green Day opened for them. So Corey, thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
I greatly enjoyed chatting with you. Do you have anything that you'd like to plug? And where can the people find you when if they want to continue talking music, or in this case, also, excuse me, movies with you?
Yeah, for sure. So I find myself on Instagram. You can find me at Red Eye Film with a few underscores in between the words there. Yeah, I just kind of I review, if we'll call it that, movies that I watch and refer back to, but I try to do it in a more visually creative way, I'll
Mhm.
say. So you can
Nice.
find me there.
So definitely check out Corey's Instagram page. The art that he has there is fantastic, and it just puts a unique spin on what he's trying to say when it comes to
Thank you,
his
man.
movies. He just wrapped up like 31 days of Halloween,
Hmm.
of October, not Halloween, because Halloween's just one day in October, but 31 days of, watching different films in October. Great stuff. So check out that
Thank
series.
you. Thank
It's
you.
a lot of fun. And I hope to have you on again to continue to talk about music, because both of us, we talk about movies a lot, and sometimes it's kind of nice to change it up a little
Very
bit,
much
right?
so. Yeah, it's fun to kind of go back to the second passion of music and look at that form
Mhm.
of art. So I had a blast, man. Thank you again for having me on. And yes, I definitely hope to be back.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, my friends, the time has come to end this episode of Mix CD. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe to anything and everything SPDM Crew wherever you get your podcast. Join us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, YouTube, and Blue Sky at SPDM Crew. Check out our website soon to be out at spdmcrew.com. You can follow our playlist on Spotify and Apple Music at Mike Hilty. Shout out to HiFlyer Creative Studios for making our awesome logo. Greatly appreciate their support. And if you have any marketing, logo, or brand standard needs, contact them at highflyercreative.com. If you've got a podcast idea or you're interested in being part of the SPDM crew as a guest or collaborating, email us at spdmcrew@gmail.com. Until next time, no matter what happens now, you shouldn't be afraid because I know today has been the most perfect day I've ever seen.